What is up, guys, and welcome back to Force Friday. I've already talked about some Clone Wars Jedis and some of the Dark Side Jedi. Today I'm going to be talking about some of the other Jedis that I haven't yet been able to talk about. Now, even though some of these took place during the Clone Wars timeline, I didn't want to talk about some of them because they went from the Clone Wars TV show era. So up first, I have Qui-Gon Jin. Now, Qui-Gon's always been one of my personal favorite Jedi. This hairpiece is really nice. Unfortunately, mine got a little bit bent in storage, so it's a little bit discolored just from that piece bending. But besides that little discoloration, it's a pretty well done hairpiece. It's pretty accurate to how he looks. I do like also how he has these darker brown leg pieces here. Just a nice attention to detail. But I like also this belt that goes around, how there's that little bit of silver shining on it. It looks really nice. This does have a back printing. It's a little bit hard to see just because of how his hair works, and I can't really take the head off of this minifigure in particular. But I do know that there is a secondary face printing. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but I do know it's there. I just can't take this head off anymore. I like the scraggliness of his beard and how he has these lines under his eyes, just to give him a little bit more age to him. Pretty well done minifigure. It's definitely one of my favorites. Now, up next is Padawan Obi-Wan. Now, I know that this also came with a cape. However, in my display, I don't have it on him. And I also just don't have enough brown capes for every single character to have one. I think I've lost a couple just over time. I do like how you can see his Padawan braid that comes down here. I think that's a really nice detail there. Besides that, though, the chest printing is pretty similar. Just has a couple more silver parts here and the buckle of the belt and everything. Now, this does have one of my slight pet peeves where you can see a little bit of the face underneath, which it's not that big of a deal, but it does annoy me a little bit. Once again, pretty standard back printing, kind of what you would expect, just continues of the robes and the belt. And the dual face on this one is actually pretty interesting. I think my Qui-Gon actually also has this, where it has this breathing apparatus from the Phantom Menace and everything. It's a really cool secondary face to have, instead of just having a standard happy and angry face, sort of. You can see all these details even on the print here. It's really well designed, honestly. Now up next is another version of Obi-Wan, and I know that this is not the right chest piece, or I think even hair piece that goes with this minifigure, and that's this version right here. I stumbled across this headpiece. I don't know how I end up getting it. I don't think it was in a set, because I don't think I have the chest piece that goes with it. I just kind of have this thrown on for now. I don't know where I got it. I just know that I somehow did, and you can tell it's one of the older minifigures because of how it just has the black eyes. There's no pupils or anything in it. Besides that, it's a pretty cool headpiece here. I think this head came in Obi-Wan's starfighter or something, because you can see his communicator that comes across and comes down. But I just thought it was worth talking about this slight variation of Obi-Wan. Now, while we're still on the topic of Obi-Wan, I do want to talk about this version of Obi-Wan. This came in a set where he's dealing with Anakin, who just recently became Darth Vader, which is why his robes have all these burn marks on him and everything. This is a really well done Jedi minifigure. I do love how it has leg printing, because a lot of the standard ones that have this lighter tan color don't always have leg printing. It just goes to show that when they do have just a little bit of it, it still really adds a lot to the minifigures. Now, this hairpiece reminds me of the Clone Wars version, except it is a little bit better, honestly. It looks a little more natural. As you can see, his belt is still pretty standard here. Just a couple of buckles and silver things that go on it. The back print's also pretty cool. It still has all those burn marks and everything that scorch from Mustafar. And he does have the secondary face print, which has the more nervous looking face. This exact minifigure came in the most recent General Grievous Starfighter. I know that LEGO reuses pieces a lot, but I do find it weird that the version where he came in General Grievous's Starfighter also has the burn marks on him, but I still just wish with that version they could have gotten rid of them. I feel like it wouldn't have been that hard and that difficult to do. Now, like I said, that figure came in the duel on Mustafar set between him and Anakin. I'm going to talk about the Darth Vader Anakin. As you can see, he has all the burn marks on his jackets and everything. I do like the different layers to the print, how it's this brown here and then the blacks that come down from his look from Revenge of the Sith. And also he has the one black hand. Back printing's also pretty cool. As you can see, it continues with some of the burn and scorch marks, and has a pretty similar belt to Obi-Wan, I think. The printing's also pretty standard. It's kind of hard to pick up on camera, but I really love this face print, how you can see his Sith eyes and how angry he looks. It's a really good printing on the face here. It does have a secondary one where he does not have the Sith eyes. There's also a pretty good head print for Anakin. Probably one of my favorites, because the Clone Wars one, as much as that one looks a little bit off to me, it never even really looked like Anakin, but I do love this face. It really reminds me of Anakin, especially from his look in Revenge of the Sith. Now, same with the Obi-Wan that I just talked about, and how they reused that print for a different set. In one of Anakin's starfighters, they also reused the same chest print in that as well. As you can see, he has the burn marks on him, even though this is based off of Anakin's look from the beginning of Revenge of the Sith. It's weird to me that they didn't just like go in and like their print machines and quickly edit the look for them. Now, the only reason I pulled this aside to talk about specifically as opposed to the Obi-Wan one is because this one actually did come with a separate face printing, as you can see. Since it came in the starfighter, he has his like starfighter like headband that comes on and like down across his face, and when the hairpiece is on, it really makes it like blend together and look pretty slick. I like how that looks. It does have a secondary face print where it's the same thing, just he kind of looks angrier, but I just want to talk about this slight variation to the same minifigure. The next one I'm going to talk about is another version of Anakin's Padawan, Ahsoka. Now, I talked about Ahsoka in the Clone Wars episode because that was her look from the Clone Wars series. Now, this is her look. I'm pretty sure this is based off of the Season 7 look, but it didn't have the like enlarged faces that the Clone Wars stuff did from back in the day, so that's why I'm putting it in this video instead. Now, as you can see, it has like a similar headpiece to Shakti as opposed to the last Ahsoka, because Ahsoka's last one was a hard plastic, whereas this one goes back to being the rubber one. Now, she has these like gold highlights in her suit, which are really cool and they really stick out. And I love how she has like even like leg printing and everything and how it flows through. It's a really nice and well done minifigure, and Ahsoka's always been one of my favorite Jedi. Yesterday I talked about how I forgot that Thor also had the light gray hands. Ahsoka Tano also has like those same light gray hands that I thought I hadn't seen in any other minifigure, but apparently I have a couple more that I didn't realize had them. And that just goes to show how like well it flows through, and I don't even notice that it's something that's like uncommon. Now, there is a secondary face printing where it's just like her happy face and look and everything. And both these face printings really nail her tattoos that she has. Even down to her back printing is also pretty cool. Just a standard sort of look, but it's nice to have something, even though most of it's like going to be kind of covered up by her like head tails there. So this is just her look from the Season 7 of the Clone Wars, I think. Now, going back on the more Obi-Wan topic, I have Old Man Obi-Wan. Now, this is a more classic look to him. There have been a couple updated ones that I am going to talk about, but this is the sort of classic look that I always remember him having. As you can see, he has this more simplistic chest printing here, which is still pretty nice, even like for how simplistic it is. It really works for like the time period and everything. Now, there is no secondary face, and it did come with a hairpiece, but I only have a couple of them, so I'm not going to talk about it on this minifigure. I'll wait until the next one. But I like the way his beard comes down, and just how he looks in general is pretty nice. Unfortunately, mine's a little bit scratched and worn just because this is a kind of older minifigure. And as you can see, he did come with this brown cape as well, and there is no back printing on him. Not a lot to talk about with this. Like I said, pretty simplistic, but it is a nice variation of Old Man Obi-Wan to have. Now, the next one I'm going to talk about is another more recent variation, and that is this one right here. Now, this came in the set where he's in his hut on Tatooine, I'm pretty sure. I think Luke came in that set as well. Now, one of the things that's a little bit disappointing is that there's no leg printing. Once again, it's not the end of the world when they don't have it, but it just really makes it look bland. I just like how it is a more updated chest printing and how it's kind of reminiscent of this version of Obi-Wan, and also a mix from the old man look that you'll recognize. It does also have this back printing, pretty simplistic. Now, there's a bit of difference in the face here. As you can see, he has more like white in his beard and not just gray. And they added a couple more like wrinkle lines to make him look older. There is no secondary face printing on there, but that's fine. And this is the hairpiece I was talking about. They haven't really changed how this hair looks for Obi-Wan. They've always used like this same hairpiece for him. Now, the next one I'm going to talk about is once again another variation of Old Man Obi-Wan, and that is this version right here. It is the same exact hairpiece and head printing from the previous Obi-Wan. However, this time he has his like black cloak. It is kind of strange that they decided to not give him a cape with this and sort of make his like robes part of the printing. I think it's a cool variation, and it really like separates it from the other ones, but you can't beat that like classic cape feeling on these Jedis. Something about having a Jedi with like the physical cape that comes off, there's something so like classic and something that just feels so right about it. But I do like how it continues this like his like robe piece down to the waist and through the legs. Once again, just going to show how it adds so much detail and depth to these minifigures when they have a leg printing. He does have like a printing of his folded down hood, which is also a nice touch. Now, I don't hate this minifigure. I think it's still pretty good, but I just do miss like when they had like the classic capes. Now, the last one I'm going to talk about is Rey. Now, this is the only version of Rey that I own. I do like this hairpiece. It is pretty accurate to her look. I do like this back printing as well. Just like a little bit of detail. It doesn't need to be a ton, but just to have something there to add some depth to her. The chest printing is also pretty cool, pretty accurate to her look. I like how you can see like her jacket that goes over and then her shirt underneath. And there is a little bit of leg printing, just adding some depth to this character. It's not my favorite minifigure. It looks a little bit plain to me, but that's fine. I'm not really like super picky on some of these Jedi looks. And I believe this does also have a dual face where she has this like angry look to her, and then on the other side she has this sort of like smiling sort of grin. Between this and every other Force Friday or like Jedi-centered episode I've talked about, that is every single Jedi that I own, I'm pretty sure. I don't think I'm missing any anymore. So thank you for watching, and I will see you guys all tomorrow.
Farted on the track. Farted. Oh yeah. Yeah! We love that Dumpster Kid video. We all do! For more, like and subscribe. Hit it! Turn on the post notifications. Do it! Even when you're on vacation, you'll get notified.